My sister recently got married, and with marriage, most of the time comes kids. She's not pregnant yet, but obviously she really wants kids. And I was just thinking, if I really want kids, because I was a terrible kid. My mom always told me if I was her first, I was her last.
What?
Because I was that bad.
Really?
Yeah. I feel bad for my parents, but I'll take care of them when I'm rich and famous from this podcast.
Perfect.
But I would love to know if you guys have any troubling childhood past stories that you think were like pretty bad.
Oh, God.
I mean, I was pretty innocuous as a kid. The only thing I can think of, I did get in trouble for wrecking my mom's car when I was 16. I had only been driving for a couple months, and I was leaving a friend's house, took my eyes off the road, hit a parked car.
Oh, no.
And then drove away. And then I realized the car was broken beyond repair. I couldn't keep driving. And so I had to call my parents. And then when they arrived and they asked me what happened, I lied and said that someone had hit me and drove away. And then I thought that was going to be the end of that situation until
16,
they
don't
called.
you think that's the end of it, right? I got away with this.
I got away with it. Great. So they called the cops and filed a police report. And so then obviously they asked me. And so I just made up a bunch of BS that never happened. And then once again was like, great, got away with it. And then like 5 days later, my dad picked me up from work. And I did not get away with it.
Oh,
it took very little investigation on their part to figure out the truth about what had happened. And yeah, that was awful. I was grounded for like the rest of the year, and I could only drive to work and back and school and back, and that was it. And I don't think my parents ever really looked at me the same after
They
that.
still haven't forgave you.
They haven't recovered.
You're married with children, and they're like, we don't forget.
Yeah, I don't know. I was like the model child. Like my parents and like my aunts and uncles were like, why don't you be more like Alex? Because I didn't have any sort of issue. Jesus was my homie, so I didn't like really have any sort of desire to do any like craziness. The craziest thing I probably did was probably play like concrete football or reenact jackass stunts, like getting in shopping carts.
They
and being
specifically
rode.
tell you at the beginning of the show not to recreate
That just makes you want to
those.
do it even more.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah. I mean, there was this one time I was like 19. I think that's around the time I actually started.
Becoming a jackass.
Yeah. We went to, my friends and I went to this house, and it was around Halloween. And, in New England is big for like haunted houses and like in asylums, like just haunted places. And there's this one house on Pennyway.
Pennywise.
But there's like this really creepy story about this boy that died there. And it's this house on top of this hill on this road. And it was late and we all went over there and decided to trespass. And we went into the house, and I'm over here like, oh, this is awesome. This is cool. Look at all the neat stuff. There's like furniture and stuff. And we go to the basement, and I see this little toy chest.
Nope, don't open that.
Nope.
And I
Don't
was
open
like,
that.
that's it. I left. I was like, nope,
Good.
it's over. I saw that. That's all I need. Left.
At that point, your homie Jesus is like, you're on your own, dude.
Yeah. It's just like, all right, Bob, this is your decision.
I'm running through my stories in my head. Like, can't say that one. I got in trouble once for playing checkers with a boy in a car. And then the cops showed up and told us to play checkers at home instead. And that if I didn't go home, they'd call my dad and say I was playing checkers in public.
I understand because it's kind of like uncomfortable. You have to put the board down.
I mean, it would have made more sense for us to do it in a comfortable sofa table situation. But, this moment for checkers strikes anytime, anywhere, Alex.
When you got to play checkers.
You got to play checkers when you're 16, wherever you can. I did have a lot of those moments where I would tell my mom, I'm spending the night at Heather's house. And then Heather would say, I'm spending the night at Shauna's house. Well, Heather and I were very stupid because our parents were neighbors. So my dad went jogging one morning and went, oh, hi, Heather's mom. The girl's having a good time at the sleepover. And she's like, I thought they were having a sleepover at your house. So
Meanwhile, over at Derek's house.
It was Gregory's house.
I thought those kind of things only happen in movies. Like I've only seen that kind of stuff.
It happened to me a lot. I walked into
Shauna was like living the sisterhood of the traveling
I
pants.
absolutely was. I walked into my parents' house in stumbling and putting pieces of gum into my mouth, and then before I go in there, spraying myself with body. They won't smell herbs on me. And then my dad's just sitting there at like the armchair and flicks on the light with like a glass of whiskey. You're home late. And I'm like, oh, Jesus. Hey, Dad. I was just playing.
At least it was a glass of whiskey and not like a shotgun.
True.
So, yeah, that was the abbreviated Shauna's in trouble situation. But I want to hear Nicole's.
My birthday's in October, so it's during the school year. So in first grade, my parents told me, no, you can't have a birthday party. I said, okay, watch me. I got home one day from school, sat at the kitchen table, took computer paper, cut it into little like 4x4 pieces, folded them in half, wrote Nicole's birthday party.
Oh my God.
This is my address, wrote my address, said party starts after you're done with your homework. So at least I told them.
That's
Whatever
adorable.
time
You're
that
being
might
very
be.
responsible.
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. My mom was like, well, at least you told them to do their homework. But so I handed them out at school. The day of or the day before, I don't know which one, my mom gets a phone call from one of my best friends at the time's mom and was like, hey, like, my daughter just came home with this invitation. It doesn't look very legit. Did you know about it?
It's all written in crayon.
It was. I think it was like blue or green crayon. And my mom was like, no. And so my other best friend lived literally a few houses away from me. So my mom called that mom and was like, hey, did you get an invitation too? She's like, yeah. My mom was like, okay, I'm going to walk down and come see what this invitation looks like. My mom sees it. She's like, oh my God.
Suddenly half the school is at your house.
Yeah, no, literally. And my mom was like, you're lucky we didn't tell them all to just go home or to take their presents back. So my mom literally had to go the day of this so-called birthday party, go grab goodie bags.
So you had the birthday
Oh,
party.
yeah, of
that's
course I
Your mom
did.
is a rock star. That's
Right.
awesome.
Had pizzas. Everyone came over, stayed for probably like an hour or 2 hours. We had a great time.
We love you, Mom.
That's so nice.
Yeah,
that's
so
cute.
I mean, being the youngest child, I will say I was spoiled and pretty much always got my way, but that was...
And it all started with that. You're like, if I can do that, I can do anything.
Exactly.
And now she's a hardened criminal.
Coming in hot from Olympus Games in Mesa, Arizona.
It's the Pop Culture Junkie Podcast.
Welcome to another episode of the Pop Culture Junkie Podcast. We are your hosts here at the Olympus Games in Mesa, Arizona. And would you like to introduce yourselves?
I'm Shauna.
This is Alex.
I'm Hayley.
And I'm Nicole. So it's been, I don't know. I feel like for me it's been a crazy week. I honestly have not been watching too much, but I did watch the new season of Dancing with the Stars. And let's just get right into the pop it or drop it.
Yeah. How was Dancing with the Stars? Because I was looking at the cast and like half the people, I'm like, I don't even know who you are. It's a little generous calling you a star.
I'm just rooting for Mel C.
So Mel C, Jojo Siwa, obviously, like everyone knows. Either you know who she is or now you do. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. And Martin Cove from Karate Kid and Cobra Kai, which is pretty cool because he's like 100 years old.
That guy.
Yeah, Bowdy Your Sensei.
Oh, cranky.
Yes. So, but other than that, like I didn't know most of the other people. So how was it? Is it worth tuning in? Like, if I haven't watched Dancing with the Stars, is this season worth checking out?
I honestly really enjoyed it. I did not know, like you said, half the people, but once I actually saw their faces, like The Miz, he's a WWE wrestler. I kind of knew him from before though too, because he has his
on
own
the Real
show.
World.
Was he really?
Yeah, The Miz was on Real World New Orleans, I think, like way back in the early 2000s.
He had like
Okay.
the reality show with
He
his,
does,
like,
yeah.
partner.
It's on USA Network. So that's how I knew him, because I watched USA Network for like Chris Lee Knows Best and stuff, and their previews would always come up. So I knew him. There was Suni Lee, who was the Olympic gymnast. You have Olivia Jade, who is Lori Loughlin's daughter, who was in that college admissions scandal.
Oh my gosh, she's
Yeah.
on it?
Yes, she is.
Wait, but I hate her.
But she's rich and Caucasian.
Yeah.
There you go.
Jimmy
Here's a
Allen, who's a
rule.
country singer who I knew beforehand. So yeah, you have quite a bit of people, honestly, who I figured out who they were once I saw their faces.
Okay.
And I actually really enjoyed it. I thought pretty much every star did fantastic, except for Martin Cove.
Yeah,
if I'm going to be honest. He forgot the dance in the beginning, kind of just stood there, and I felt terrible because he was so cute. And in the beginning, when he met his partner, he was like, I'm going to do so good at this. I want to dance. And he's like, losing's not for me, blah, blah, blah.
He's like the
oh
grandpa of the show.
Oh,
Like you're rooting
100%.
for it.
I just feel so bad for his partner because I'm like, they are literally just setting her up for failure right now because she's going to be the first one to go home.
It's okay. She's like, less work, equal pay. Just kidding.
Right. Probably, honestly.
But no, I thought they all did very good. The highest score of the night was a 29 out of 40, and it was given to Jojo Siwa and her partner, Jenna Johnson. And it was very, very cool to see two females dancing together, and they did absolutely fantastic.
It makes sense she would get the highest score because she's actually a trained dancer.
She's
Is that even
dancer.
fair?
Yeah. No, it is because competition dance is way different than ballroom dancing. In my opinion,
Is it
yes.
only ballroom?
Yeah. So I think that it is pretty fair that she's on it, but I could see her winning this whole thing already or just being in the top two.
My favorite thing about Jojo Siwa, like obviously as a mom, my daughter is like way into her, and I love that she's like unproblematic and just like positive all the time and always wants to just motivate kids to be themselves and blah, blah, blah. But I also love that like she has never turned her back on who she is. Like, you know, a lot of people grow up and then they're like, I have to distance myself from this image. And she's like, I saw the picture of her costume and stuff for dancing. She's like, all the glitter, all the rhinestones, like all the stuff that has made her who she is. She like still
Side pony.
Yeah,
Does
she
have the side
embraces
pony?
that still.
No, she didn't. She had like poofy hair, but it looks really cute. But also going along that, especially with like social media nowadays and her age, people are always commenting like, why are you still acting like this when you were 19 years old or however old she is? I think she's like 18, 19. And she's still like, it's just who I am and I'm going to continue being this person because that's who I want to be. I'm not going to change for you or someone else.
And why are we like in society, why do we have a constant need to make 18-year-olds, 40-year-olds? Like you're still 18. Like be goofy.
Especially young women. It's like the minute you turn 18, society expects to be able to sexualize you.
Right.
And if they can't, then they get angry. Why are you not presenting yourself in an outwardly sexual manner that I can appreciate it with my gaze? Like, no, that's not what people, especially young girls, exist for.
Totally. Yeah.
Andrant.
So it's like, stay pressed. Like, she's like, I'll just keep cashing my checks from Walmart. Thank
Exactly.
you.
And she literally drives a Tesla with her face all over it.
Yeah. Good for her.
I want to put my face all over my Tesla.
Please do.
My husband won't let me. What a jerk. I actually watched quite a few things this week. I'm not going to spend a ton of time on each of them because I feel like you guys have all seen them and I'm a little bit behind, but I watched Malignant and I feel like I'm in the minority here, but I freaking adored it. I thought it was campy. I thought it had a lot of nods to a lot of horror tropes that kind of turned them on their heads, but then other horror tropes that like went as you expected.
This is streaming on HBO, right?
Yes.
Okay.
Shout out to my best friend Jessica because, okay, I'm going to spoil this in 3, 2, 1. Jessica and I used to be obsessed with parasitic twins in college. We just were super into researching them and like reading everything we could about parasitic twins. So when this movie started, I looked at my husband and I was like, freaking parasitic twin. And he already knew, so he just sat there with his mouth closed. And then when it was revealed, I jumped up and down around my living room. And I was like, parasitic twin!
It sounds like a band.
Right? I was like, that sounds like a pretty sick metal band, actually. Parasitic twin! So I loved it. I watched the new episode of What If with Killmonger. And y'all, I just can't with it. I don't know. This show is not doing it for me.
You're talking about the whole show or just that episode?
This entire show, I keep telling myself, it's Marvel. I'm obviously a huge Marvel stan. I'm going to be here for whatever they do. But I feel like the episodes are all just so rushed that I find myself looking at my husband halfway through and being like, wait a minute, why are they doing this again? Wait, why are they angry again? Like, and then he has to sit there and be like, okay, wait, yeah, they thought that they killed Tony, so he thinks he's out to do it's I don't know. Everything feels very rushed.
See, I never watched it because I never understood the point. I mean, cool. The concept is cool. What if? But like, what are we going to do with this afterwards?
Exactly, too.
I think, and the thing that keeps me tuning in is I do think that they're going to bring in some of these alternate characters and alternate timelines into the multiverse.
Okay,
so,
maybe.
because I don't know, there's been rumors that like Captain Carter could be brought in Multiverse of Madness or something like that. So, part of me, I watch just so I'm in the know. Like, I'm one of those people where I hate like FOMO. So, I'm like, I have to know what's going on. And I don't know. I like it. I'm not like, it's not by any means one of my favorite things I've ever seen, but.
Exactly. I completely agree. I'm not going to stop watching it because I'm going to watch every Marvel property because I want to know what's going on.
Yeah.
And I feel like it has an ending problem. It's like the end of every episode.
Is it an ending?
Yes.
Yeah. It just leaves it open. Yeah, it is weird. Like, I thought that with the zombie episode, it sets up this whole like Thanos thing at the very end. And I'm like, what?
Exactly. Like it always introduced some gasp at the end that is just never talked about ever again.
Yeah.
So I don't know. I feel like I'm gonna hot potato What If. Watch it if you're obsessed with Marvel. Drop it if you have no interest in Marvel, and just stay tuned for the next live action Marvel show. I also, congratulations are in order for Lil Nas X. He finally gave birth to a bouncing baby, Montero, recently.
Aww.
And I love this album, you guys. Have any of you guys gotten the chance to listen to any of it?
No.
But besides just the singles?
Yeah, I've just listened to the singles.
I would suggest giving it a listen. It's really different than you would expect. There's slow songs, there's fast songs. He sings, he raps. I mean, he's got Doja on there. He's got Miley Cyrus. Elton John plays the piano on one of the songs.
I actually was listening to him do an interview last week, and yeah, they were just like listing all the different features, and he gets like very personal.
Yeah.
So he really opens up. Is this his first album?
This is his first album. He released an EP called Seven, which is what had Panini and Old Town Road. So that wasn't, quote, a like album, but it was a good chunk of songs. And I really liked that EP, but this is his first like full length album.
I saw him post a TikTok that I liked a lot where it was like before fame, and it was a video he recorded in 2019. And he's like, I'm just going to eat some pizza. He sits down and he's like, well, Old Town Road is starting to do pretty well on YouTube. And I've got like, I think it was like 10,000 followers on Instagram, and Spotify is like at like 20,000 streams or something like that. And then he posted, as he's talking in the video, he posts like the current numbers, you know, the 20 million, you know, followers on Spotify and all this crazy stuff. And at the end of the video, he's like, I'm going to follow up with you guys this time next year, and we'll see where those numbers are at. And I was like, man, talk about manifesting your future.
He did. And you know what? You can tell he did not expect to become famous.
That's why I like him a lot, because you can tell how genuine he is, and you just he's really cool.
Yeah. I really liked Montero. I pop it. I suggest everybody give the entire album a listen. I'm always a fan of listening to the albums in the order that the track list is, because I feel like that's how the artist usually wants you to experience it. And then finally, I won't spend too long on this one because we talked about it last week, Alex, but I finally have been watching Lucifer. I have one episode left. One episode. I have cried.
You pretty much finished it.
So much in this freaking season. Anytime Dan is on screen,
I love Dan. I love what they did with him.
Me too.
Oh my God. Because at the end of the 5th season, you're like, what's going to happen?
Yeah.
And they still were able to incorporate him
as a cast member.
Yeah. Oh, it was so cool.
Yeah.
I loved it.
I think my Google is spying on our podcast because it has been recommending me Lucifer story after Lucifer thing. And it like it's all, are you watching Lucifer yet? I'm like, calm down. But it had this one article pop up about Bones, because Lucifer watches Bones.
That's his favorite TV show. And he talks about it all the time.
Like, Google, you son of a gun. You know how to get
Lucifer me. On some CW DC show. Wasn't he on The Flash or something like that? Some kind of crossover.
Tom Ellis?
Yeah, wasn't as Lucifer.
Yes, he was in one of those big crossovers where they bring basically every character who's ever been related to DC or the Arrowverse. He came on briefly, and I think interacted with Constantine.
Yeah, see, yeah. That's how I remember it. Yeah, I remember
Thank you for triggering that memory for me. But definitely going to pop Lucifer, especially if you've been a fan this whole time. And that is what I've been watching this week / listening to.
I have been watching this new show on Comedy Central, and it's hosted by Charlamagne Tha God, and it's called The God's Honest Truth. And it's pretty cool. I enjoyed it. I will definitely say that, you know, if you are one of those fragile white people out there, don't watch this.
Way to out me, Alex.
Because you will get your feelings hurt. But I thought it was refreshing because you don't really see a lot of late, talk show hosts who are black. There's, a South African news pundit. I mean, Trevor Noah, I love him. I said I'd marry him last week.
And I'm blanking him.
Yeah, but there isn't really, at least I don't think of many others.
Yeah,
and to talk about
totally
the black, the African American experience, I think is important. And I think this show is kind of like a history lesson in a way, but it's also executive produced by Stephen Colbert, otherwise known as Stephen Colbert.
Stephen Colbert.
And so it's cool that he was like backing it. And the first
awesome.
episode was called the decrackification of the USA. And it talks about like the denazification in Germany.
This is the video you posted, yeah? Yeah, okay.
And like the crackdown or like of the 90s or 80s or whatever.
The term.
Well,
the term.
The term cracker came, well, at least from what he was saying, came from this white writers back in the 1800s who would reference crackers who were actual people that would, crack their whips on slaves. And so then obviously now people would just use it in a way to identify like a cracker, like a cracker being a cracker.
I don't know what that is, Alex.
It's just an ignorant bigot, just
a white folk, a stupid white folk.
Yeah, I didn't even know that. Like when people would call me like cracker when I was a kid, I'd be like a saltine crack.
I mean, basically,
that's what I would count it as too, because there's not much of a difference.
Soft beige.
I am tasty.
But it's cool. Amanda Seale was on there. Chico Bean. They had Chico Bean go in and like expose white racists who were like selling the like Confederate flags. And you can see these people's feelings get like so torn apart. But yeah, like I said, if you are sensitive to this kind of stuff, I'd probably just, keep your TV off.
I'm going to watch this. I love watching racists get uncomfortable and called out.
Yeah,
I'm here for it.
I would say that, it definitely I think it's his first time doing a show like this. He's a radio personality. He's on The Breakfast Club.
Yeah.
He has a bunch of podcasts. He's a best-selling author. He has all these things, but I think this is like the first time he's had like the show. He was on The Guy Code, so he's been on like MTV and stuff.
Where can we watch it?
Comedy Central.
Oh, that's right. You already said that, but I'm thinking my head is just with streaming networks now. I'm like, cable.
You mean appointment television? How could I possibly remember a time?
There's probably an app for that.
Probably.
For sure.
But yeah, Pop, God's Honest Truth for an honest black voice. Beware fragile white people. The other thing I watched was Candyman. Super excited about Candyman for the entire year, and I finally got a chance to watch it. It's in theaters right now. It's written by Jordan Peele, Wynn Rosenfield, and Nia DaCosta, who also directed it. And if you remember a few weeks ago, we talked about how Nia DaCosta broke records in the box office. And if you're not familiar with Candyman, the original film came out in the early 90s, and it's about this legend of this man who appears after you say his name 5 times in the mirror and then like slaughters you with his hook. And
he doesn't give you candy.
Why do we come up with this crap as a society? Like, why are we like, it would be great to terrify little children with this story?
But I did that crap as a kid. I would
I
stand
did
in the mirror and be like, Bloody Mary.
Bloody Mary. Totally. Light as a feather, stiff as a board.
Yes.
Like, why were we doing seances when we were like 6?
Save that for your 20s, Shauna.
Yeah, well, the story and the concept I love, but I think into like the third part of the movie, like 3/4 of the way, it just kind of got confusing to me. But there were some parts that brought up like social injustices and even just like the cycle of gentrification. So, just like the social commentary kind of stuff within the movie itself.
Kind of the stuff we expect from Jordan Peele movies,
Yeah,
honestly,
much.
that people like really like about them.
Yeah, but I think the story and the concept are great, but the execution of it overall, I don't know. I kind of like lost focus. I don't know if it was because I was holding a baby at the same time, but I felt like I missed things. But even with that, I would say pop it, especially if you are a Candyman fan. And so, yeah, those are the 2 things that I watched this week.
Awesome. All right. This week, I I gotta mention again, I mentioned Brooklyn Nine-Nine had come back for its final season. It was a shortened season, so they were putting 2 episodes on every week instead of 1. I don't know why they decided to shorten it, but the series finale aired this last week. And series finales are always tricky because you're either going to love it or hate it. Like, it doesn't matter what the show is. I don't think there's a single show out there that has just a universal, like the whole fandom was happy with the finale. There's always going to be people that are upset. I'm going to pop Brooklyn Nine-Nine as a series, including the series finale. I think it ended in a way that was satisfying for the characters. I'm going to have spoilers for Brooklyn Nine-Nine.
Okay.
In 3, 2...
I'm going to take my headphones off.
1. So the whole concept of the finale episode is that Jake Peralta, the main character, is leaving the 9-9, and he is actually going to be a stay-at-home dad. And because his wife has this amazing opportunity, and so he decides that that's what he wants to do. And the title of the last episode is The Perfect Goodbye. So it's setting up that goodbye. And it's really heartfelt. There's a lot of moments that quite literally brought me to tears. It's also absolutely hilarious. There's another heist.
Nice.
All the previous characters come back. Gina comes back. So they bring in a bunch of people. It was just, overall, I really, really liked it. There's going to be people that are like, oh, it was cheesy, or, it took the easy punches or whatever. But I don't know. I liked it.
I started watching a few episodes and I had to stop because I just don't want to have to deal with this goodbye.
Yeah. Aww. It's true, though. And I don't know. I felt like their journey as characters were true to them as people. And they also did a really good job handling, I think, anyway, the state of policing in the world right now, and doing that in a way that, recognized what was going on, but while still recognizing that Brooklyn Nine-Nine is not the outlet for that type of discussion necessarily, So overall, I really, really liked it. And then the other show that I checked out this week is on Apple TV. I took your guys' advice. I finally got Apple TV. I got the free trial of Apple TV, I should say. But I decided to check out this show called Mythic Quest, which I think there's actually 2 seasons. So I just binge watched like the first 6 episodes of the first season. But it's got Rob McElhenney from It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia. And it's co-created, I think, by him and Charlie Day, who's also from It's Always Sunny. And it's also got David Hornsby, who I call Mr. Emily Deschanel, because I only know him as Emily Deschanel's husband. Danny Pudi, I think is how you say his last name. From Community, Abed.
Yeah,
from Community.
I love Abed.
Yep. So the cast is pretty funny, and it follows this company of this video game developer, essentially. Mythic Quest is their video game. So I'd say check it out if you are a nerd, if you like video games, if you're a gamer, or if you like any of those guys. If you like that type of comedy. Rob McElhenney plays just like a douchebag extraordinaire, and he's so funny. He fits into that role really well, oddly enough. So yeah, I'm enjoying Mythic Quest, and my sister-in-law, shout out to Elizabeth if you're listening, she like raked me over the coals for choosing to watch this instead of Ted Lasso, and I was like, I will get to it. Okay, leave me alone.
I feel like you're like saving Ted Lasso, like like when you save the last piece of something that you really love on your dinner plate, just so you can savor it.
One final French fry.
And I want to wait till maybe like summer break or a time where I can just really enjoy it and not be so distracted by things, I think.
I mean, it's through the 2nd season now, so it could be by the time you're ready to watch it, all the episodes will be out.
There you go. Exactly. Yeah, and then other than that, I'm preemptively popping Law and Order because it comes back this week.
What if it sucks?
It's not going to. I mean, by this point in year 23, you know what you're going to get with Law and Order.
Just starts sucking out of nowhere.
There'll be different kinds of sucking.
Yeah.
We hope so.
Nicole,
we hope so.
You're sitting way too close to Shauna right now.
I know. I'm rubbing off on her. What's going on?
Yeah, let's hope so. Let's pray to the Law and Order gods that is true. But yeah, it's exciting. 2-hour premiere this week of SVU, and then 1 hour of organized crime, and then the next week it's going to reverse and be a 2-hour organized crime and 1 hour SVU. So looking forward to that. So happy that Law and Order is back, and I apologize for the person that I'm going to become for the next several months. Hi, I'm Hayley the Brave, teacher and mom by day, cosplayer and pop culture junkie by, well, also by day.
I'm obsessed with all things fandom, and I love to talk about it. So join me and some of my friends as we geek out about TV, movies, music, and all the awesome things that make life worth living. Listen to my podcast, 30, Nerdy, and Thriving, available now on all major streaming platforms.
Welcome back to the show, y'all. Let's get straight to the news. What went down this week, you guys?
Busy week news-wise, I think.
Was it?
A little bit. I mean, we had the Emmys, which is
that's
kind of a
thing
big
that
deal
still
for
exists.
people who care.
Oh, yeah.
You guys
we
watched
care.
it? You participated in this? You're interested?
I was
Yeah,
there.
I
I
actually
was
won
there.
an award.
Yeah.
Ooh.
I can't believe you didn't watch.
For this show. You were there? You didn't get the invite?
Oh, God. We all look
Gosh,
incredible.
Haley and I are
Was
like,
it one of those girls' trips you guys were trying to plan?
no. I meant to forward that to you, Alex. Okay, here's the thing. I'm not big into award shows because I don't love celebrities just like patting each other on the back and be like, oh, cheerio, good for you. I just don't care. But what I did love about this in particular was Conan O'Brien kind of taking a dig at the Emmys for that exact reason.
Yes.
So like the head of the Emmys walks out on stage and Conan stands up and salutes him. And then everybody at the Emmys stands up and gives Conan like a standing ovation. And he's in the back of the hall going, yeah, just totally cheered for this guy. And it was funny because someone on Twitter, everyone was like, why does Conan just like give 0 Fs tonight? And someone unearthed this joke from Andy Richter, this like tweet from a few years ago where he's like, if I'm ever invited to the Emmys, I'm going to do that. He's like, I'm just going to like stand up and scream and yell and be like super obnoxious. And so a lot of people thought that that's why Conan was doing
God.
that.
I love that. And you know what? He doesn't have a show right now, right? Like, come on, do what you want, man. If you got the like power and the privilege to be invited to the Emmys and you don't give a single F.
Yeah.
I'm here for
When
it.
Stephen Colbert won and went up, Colbert turns around and he goes to his like whole, team and he's all, come on, you guys, let's go up on the stage. And Conan stands up and he's all, yeah, we did it. And he comes and gives him a big hug and he picks him up on the stage and he just stands behind him cheering. And A.D. Bryant from SNL is the one who presented and she just like lost it. She's like
that's
crying,
amazing.
laughing so hard. So that was my favorite part of the Emmys that had nothing to do with the actual awards, was just Conan being Conan.
My favorite part of the Emmys also had nothing to do with the awards, and it was Seth Rogan. So he gets up to present an award, I guess Best Supporting Actress or something, and he literally just goes, I'm going to do a Seth Rogan voice. They said this would be outdoors. It's not. That was terrible.
That was kind of like Yogi Bear.
They say it will be outdoors.
Hey, boo-boo.
Hey, boo-boo. There's still a pandemic, hey, boo-boo. So he basically was like, they said this was going to be outdoors. It's not. They lied to us. We're in a hermetically sealed tent right now. I would not have come to this. And he said, there are way too many of us in this little room. It's more important that we have 3 chandeliers than that we make sure we don't kill Eugene Levy tonight. Like, basically called out the Emmys. Like, why the hell are we here? Y'all remember that COVID thing where lots of people are dying? Still a thing. And I've been reading that the Emmys were not the Emmys.
I'm
like
sure,
the symbolic entity that is the Emmys.
The Watchers. Yeah.
The Watchers over the TV universe. We're not very pleased. But I don't know. Shout out to Seth Rogan for just being a human, being like, hey, I know we're all super rich and famous, but yeah, there's still that pandemic thing.
Yeah.
And why are we all here sealed together in a
Yeah,
room?
it sounds like celebrities are also sick of the Emmys.
Yeah,
right?
honestly.
I think so. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I forget who says it, but someone was like, because there was a record number of actors of color nominated this year, and not a single one, like no actors won, and So anyway, I
It's
saw
such
this
an
quote.
empty gesture. Just, at least we nominated y'all.
Exactly.
Like, no.
And I saw this quote that was like, the problem is that if we want to win and be in contention, we have to go out and create our own roles because we're not going to have a part on the crown. You know what I mean? Like the crown's going to go clean out, and there's no space for them. And so I just thought, come on, Emmys, like do better.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, speaking of Michaela Coel, shout out to her for being the first Black woman ever to win an Emmy for writing.
What?
That's awesome.
Yep. Yeah. So
ever?
congratulations to her.
Sheesh Louise.
So if you don't know Michaela Coel, she wrote "I May Destroy You," which is the story of a woman who remembers her rape. And and I think it's kind of based on her experience.
Yeah.
And in her acceptance speech, she was dedicating the award to victims of domestic violence.
Yeah.
So, yeah, good for her for that.
Yeah.
That's awesome. I like using that platform for something, an actual important conversation beyond just, look what good actors
real.
we all are.
I think that was some good to come out of them. I mean, some of those conversations. Like I know Kate Winslet in her speech and in her interview, she said, you know, it's cool that I won or whatever for Mayor of Easttown, which I loved and I fully believe that she deserved. But she's like, but really, I hope that this just means that we're looking at actresses differently and not as just like sexual objects and ornaments on our screens. So, you know, hopefully that's like a turn for things, but who knows?
Yeah, I feel like that's what I feel like. If there's an award show, it should be celebrating that. Like this is, you know, life as we know it, what we experience, are the issues that we face every day. Like, you know, just life things.
Yeah.
Other than just celebrating these celebrities.
Mm-hmm.
Junkies Choice Award, still greatest award show ever created.
It's the only one.
I agree.
It's the only one that matters.
Only one that matters. What else? What else has been going on in the news?
Did you know that Billie Eilish is coming out with some shoes this month?
Of course.
She's like, I already pre-ordered them, baby.
No, I actually haven't. I don't like them at all. I think they're kind of ugly because obviously her and I have completely different styles. So I will not be spending probably almost $200
Are they
for
like-
a pair of shoes I will not buy.
Are they like bad guy Billie Eilish
Yes.
looking type shoes? Okay.
Yes.
Oh, I gotta Google these.
Yeah, so there's like a lime green one. So they're Air Jordans. And I forget which Air Jordans. I think one of the Jordans was like the first Air Jordan, which might be the lime green. I don't really know much about Jordans, but I do know that she was saying that they're 100% vegan.
Mm-hmm.
And
So you can eat them if you're a vegan.
that's what I was thinking.
Well, she's 100% vegan too, so she's like,
So she can eat these
anything
shoes.
that she wants to wear and like do now. She wants it 100% vegan.
I was thinking, so
You know,
I can
save it
eat
for
her
later.
if I'm vegan. If
You
she's
can't
100%.
eat Billie Eilish just because she's a vegan. Wait,
Wait a second.
wait. If I eat a vegan, is it vegan?
Right?
Vegans, please weigh
She
in the
said she was
comments
100%
below.
vegan.
I like the lime green ones. I would totally rock those. These white Yeezy looking things are
Yeah,
horrifying.
those are the other
yeah,
ones.
those are the ugly
Ugh.
ones. The
And
green
the
ones
other
I
ones,
might cop, but like it depends how much they are and if I have outfits to go with them.
I'm not much. I don't really.
I don't wear Air
Jordans.
Forces though, so
She's releasing them on her website soon, and then they're going to release them on like the Nike sneakers app.
I'll just get the Forever 21 knockoffs. I'll just get some like white tennis shoes and paint them lime green.
I really wanted the Shang-Chi because he wears Jordans in the movie. And so I looked him up, and they're not any special edition or anything. It's just what they decided to have him wear. And I looked him up, and it was all $200. And I was like, I
I
don't need
just
it.
looked it up, and these Billie Eilish shoes are $570.
Oh my goodness.
What the
Holy
heck?
F
crap.
that.
That's the thing, though. Like these shoes aren't different; they're the same style.
Yeah.
They just
Nicole,
have
if you
artists
were
like.
a real fan,
It's not like she's designing any new shoes. These already exist. She's just telling, she's just putting her name on it. And there's like her bullish, is that what it's called? Logo. She's putting a logo on the tongue of the sneaker.
yeah. I mean, I have like Billie Eilish slides that say Billie Eilish over the top. I think that's the most extravagant I'll get with a pair of Billie shoes.
you know that there's people they'll get on.
Oh, yeah,
I
def-
want to make
They'll
these
definitely
for you.
And
sell out.
imagine the resale price on those things.
Oh,
on those
for
things too.
sure.
Like,
Especially if it's through the sneakers app because you can never get those shoes.
I'm going to buy a pair of white tennis shoes, high tops from Forever 21. And then I'm going to like put a little clay swoosh on the side and I'll paint them lime green and I'll give them to you for your birthday.
Thank you.
And
Yeah.
you can tell everyone, my friend Shauna got me the Billie Eilish shoes. She's really wealthy.
My
custom
birthday is
made.
coming
And then
up.
there'll be like
so.
the pants chipping off of those.
Don't look too closely. Don't look too closely.
Oh, that's funny.
If you haven't heard, Netflix will be streaming a quarter of its library for free in Kenya. So I'm kind of wondering if this is going to be kind of like the start of this 100% free tier in like Netflix service. Part of what I read is that they chose Kenya because not a lot of people have Netflix over there. So they're like, oh, let's just offer it. And,
Yeah.
then maybe they'll subscribe to see everything that we have here. But I'm wondering if like that's something that could possibly happen globally.
So you said it's a quarter of, maybe it's shows that have already been released in their entirety and people get to stream. I'm sure it's not new content, right?
Or like old original Netflix
Exactly.
content, right?
Yeah, I don't know if all those details were released, but I read that about a fourth of
Interesting.
their library will be available for free.
That's kind of cool.
Yeah, I saw something that Netflix was thinking about doing gaming, entering the gaming world, and it would be like a gaming service, but then it came out that it's not. It's going to be like its own thing, like its own website or something like that, and they're going to offer some gaming stuff through there. But for a moment, I got really excited because they were like, Netflix to offer free gaming service, and I'm not much of a gamer, but if you're going to give me games for free, then
Maybe they'll be
play
developing
them.
their own game.
Yeah, who knows? Netflix they're going to stay relevant, I think.
Yeah, for a while. And I think the thing about Netflix is I feel there's more of a sense of community with Netflix.
Yeah.
Like you do see independent films streaming on Netflix.
There's all sorts of stuff on there.
Yeah.
Watched a lot of Korean films on Netflix. And I mean, going back to the Emmys for a second, I think Netflix was the top winner this year. I think they had like 44 freaking wins for all of their shows.
And it was like a huge drop off because after them, the next highest was HBO and it was only 19.
Yeah.
So the disparity between Netflix and everybody else, like they just dominated.
They're making some good content.
Do we know if they've been kind of like on top of these award shows, like the Emmys for the last few years?
Well,
I feel like that's
not to that extent. I think that they came close a couple years ago to being at the top or at the top, but not 40.
And I think like half of those probably came from The Crown because
for sure.
that like
oh
swept.
yeah, The Crown did get a lot of nominations.
So, but yeah, I mean, and the thing about award shows too is like, it's all about like how much money you spend.
Oh, for sure.
And Netflix has a lot of money, so they can spend a lot of money. My favorite thing in the news, or the thing that I've been the most interested in anyway, are these rumors surrounding Venom. So I am not into Venom at all. I could not care less about this Let There Be Carnage or whatever the heck, the second one.
I'm excited.
I'm going to see it, as we discussed earlier, because I have to see all of them.
Well, so now I feel like I do have to see it because...
But Venom is Sony, right?
Yes.
Correct.
But
just like Spider-Man was Sony and is now a Marvel property, Venom was screened... I want to say it was screened in Russia or like Europe or somewhere far away. And Tom Hardy even said, he like had got up and he was like, if any of you guys you're not gonna record anything, like we're not gonna have any leaks, everything's gonna be good. And so of course someone records it and leaks it. But there's a post-credit leak and it's only the audio, but you hear, and if you guys don't want to hear this leak, like whatever.
I'm ready. My body's ready.
Okay. So the leak is J. Jonah Jameson saying Peter Parker is Spider-Man and Venom saying he looks tasty. And so it's essentially meant to imply that Venom is working his way into this universe. And we know that that's how the last Spider-Man movie ended, was with that reveal, right? Mm-hmm. And so then same week, Tom Hardy is in a picture and he's got a Spider-Man No Way Home hat. And so people are like, it's a production hat. It's the hat that they got on the movie.
Oh, so you think Tom Hardy is going to be in No Way Home?
So, Pete, remember we had talked about the 6 villains?
The Sinister Six.
Venom could be one of them.
That would be sick. God, as if I could possibly be more excited for No Way Home. Like, honestly, I want everyone and their mom to be. I want every Uncle Ben to be in this movie.
Venom's coming out pretty soon, right? Sometime mid-October.
October 15th, I think. Yeah.
And then No Way Home comes December?
Yes.
Yes, it is before the end of the year. I liked the first Venom movie more than I thought I would. I went into it knowing this is not the MCU, but I like Tom Hardy as an actor. I know who Venom is as a character, and I ended up liking it more than I thought I would. So I'm going to see the second one. My expectations are pretty average, as they are with all these like Sony movies.
I mean, nothing can be worse than the Topher Grace version of Venom from Spider-Man 3.
I had such a crush on Topher Grace going into that too.
I will never forget like the horrible like dentures they gave him, and he couldn't even talk.
Yeah, I was mad. I'm like,
he was saying.
Like, they stopped that 70s show because you decided to do this.
Yep.
And they couldn't even like spring to get you better teeth.
Where are you now, Topher Grace? Come into the show and explain those teeth to us, man. I might reignite my crush on you.
But yeah, I don't know. So I think this is going to be enough. If this turns out to be true, this will push me to watch the Venom movies.
Yes,
And I have to. I don't have a choice.
You have to.
Yeah.
Physically, emotionally, spiritually.
It's definitely watchable.
Yeah. Did you see the first one?
I did not.
Give it a whirl.
Okay.
Give it a
I do
whirl.
like Tom Hardy.
Yeah.
I mean, how could you not? I'm
Right.
a red-blooded female. But yeah, so I don't know. I'll check it out.
Yeah. Give it a whirl.
All right, so I think that about wraps it up for the week. Why don't we just end it out and give out our social handles so everyone can go and follow us?
You can find me, Shauna, at Shauna Trinidad, ShaunaTrinidad, on Instagram and Twitter.
I'm Alex, and you can find me at ALCASNUN on Instagram and Twitter.
And you can find me, Hayley, on Twitter at 30nerdypod and on Instagram at 30nerdythriving.
And then I'm Nicole, and you can find me on Instagram and TikTok at Nicole_Eldridge and on Twitter at NAEldridge14. You can find the Pop Culture Junkie podcast at www.popculturejunkie.com, where you could find all the pop culture news, reviews, and buy our merch. You can join the Pop Culture Junkie support group on Facebook. You could follow us on Twitter at Pop Junkies and on Instagram at pop.culturejunkies. And be sure to come check us out as we broadcast live from the Be My Secret Cars and Anime Con on October 9th at the Rawhide Event Center in Chandler, Arizona. And be sure to come back next week for another hit of pop culture.
Pop Culture Junkie is a production of Pop Culture Entertainment Group. All rights reserved.